Hi, my name's Marie. I am a qualified counsellor and psychotherapist, and today I'm going to talk about being a one and done mum. Can you be grateful for your only child and still grieve the one that you could not have? Absolutely. Let's talk about the emotions for holding space for both of those. I think we all have that image of what our family will look like. I know that image for me dates right back to when I was a child and I knew how many kids I wanted. Recently, in a monthly peer supervision group I attended, we talked about it being a pre-reality fantasy, where we imagine what life will look like before reality sweeps in and forces a change upon you that you wouldn't have chosen if you were given the choice. Just because your ideal family image you had prior to having children looks different to what you have right now doesn't mean that you can't feel a sense of loss and grief for that image you've had for all of those years. There is a real sense of sadness for something that you haven't been able to have but wanted so badly. There's also the stigma that only having one child can be viewed as a selfish thing to do and that you're a bad mother for not giving your only child a sibling. How crushing to have to hear this when this wasn't what you wanted for your child. We use the word choice as if you decided this, but you didn't. You've been given medical advice against having more children. There's a sense that someone else has taken control of your life. That medical advice has likely been given to you to preserve your life, but that's still a loss of control of your ability to make your own choices. Another deciding factor made the decision that you were not going to have more children, that your child was not going to have a sibling. Your sadness around this may feel unattended to, whilst you're busy looking after your one child's physical and emotional needs, which acts as a good distraction at the same time. Then on the other side of this is how grateful you feel for your only child, as the harsh reality sets in of how lucky you are to have them due to the possible complications you experienced during pregnancy or childbirth. Perhaps you feel grateful because you were unsure that you could even have children, or because you went through the grueling process of IVF to have your child, and then feel riddled with guilt because whilst you were doing all you can to appreciate what you have, you're also stuck in your grief of what you can't. It is possible to feel immense happiness and immense sadness simultaneously. That sadness is not a reflection of you as a mother, it's a very normal human response to an abnormal situation that you find yourself in. Being a one and done mum, once you've had the time and space to feel those deep emotions and grieve for that second child, can become a really beautiful story in its own right. It's a story about pure strength, love and determination to reach a point of acceptance and learning who you are and to be kind to yourself. All stories have a beginning, a middle and an end. So let's look at each part of what that story looks like. The beginning of your story may include a pregnancy-related condition where bringing your baby into the world was filled with uncertainty or worry. Or maybe there was none of that and it was just merely the wonderful and exciting beginning of starting your family. That planning process of how long you'd wait before trying for baby number 2, or wondering if you'd be able to go through another complicated pregnancy. At this stage, you're still feeling like you have the choice. The middle of this story is where you learn that having more children, for whatever reasons, are not possible, and then you begin your grieving process. When we talk about grief, it's often for someone that we've known and loved that has sadly died. This is grief for not being able to get to know and love that someone. The loss of opportunities for who that person could have become, what they would have looked like, what would their favourite food have been. Grieving for someone that never existed physically in the world that we know it, but existed in that pre-reality fantasy we had when looking at what ideal family looked like. There's no right or wrong way to grieve, but therapy is a space where those emotions can be explored and validated. Of course, it's important to acknowledge that not all people will move past this stage and reach acceptance. Then comes the ending of the story, where you've come to the stage where you can move forward and have reached acceptance that this is what your family looks like. And what a beautiful image that is. You fought hard to reach this point, and you've had a huge sense of accomplishment. By this time, you're able to look at your child and feel an immense wave of appreciation for them and who you've become within this story. So you've experienced a loss that is so incredibly unique and will undoubtedly have shaped you as a person and as a mother for the rest of your life. Hopefully you've now found a good, healthy balance for not only raising your child in the best way that you can, but for giving yourself that time and that space that your well-being deserves too. Whilst our values and morals in life are generally set early on and pave the way for how we live our lives, going through something that determines your future will possibly set a new set of values for you in life. The sadness that you felt for that wanted second baby won't ever leave you, but as time passes and your story evolves, it will hurt less. The end of this story is merely the beginning of who you are now. Enjoy. You can find me on Instagram at Marie Vaile Counselling 23, and my website is www.marievailecounselling.com. I've just spent the day filming with Mindfriend. They're a digital platform that provide reliable and accredited mental health content. Stay tuned for all my upcoming videos.